By the end of this module, you'll be able to tell the difference between an SSD's interface and its form factor, the two ideas that trip people up most. You'll know how to spot NVMe versus SATA from a picture or a spec sheet, understand why M.2 doesn't automatically mean fast storage, and recognize the exam traps that assume you'll confuse shape with speed. An SSD's interface is the communication method, the language it speaks to move data. Think SATA commands, NVMe commands, or the server standard SAS. The form factor is the physical package, its size, shape, and how it plugs in. Is it a 2.5-inch drive with cables, a slim stick that mounts flat on the motherboard? Here's the key insight that unlocks the whole topic. The same form factor can carry different interfaces. M.2 is a shape, but an M.2 drive can speak SATA or NVMe depending on the drive and the slot. That's the source of 90% of the confusion you'll see on this exam, so let's clear it up. NVMe is a storage protocol designed specifically for flash memory. Older standards were built when spinning hard drives were the norm, so they weren't optimized for the low delay and parallel behavior of solid-state storage. NVMe was built from the ground up to handle many requests at the same time, which is why NVMe systems feel snappier even when you're not copying huge files. The protocol reduces waiting and improves responsiveness under multitasking. Where do you actually see NVMe? Most commonly in M.2 drives installed flat on a laptop or desktop motherboard, and sometimes in PCI Express add-in cards when a system lacks an M.2 slot or needs more NVMe storage. The exam clue to lock in: when a question says NVMe, think PCI Express lanes, not SATA data cables. SATA SSDs remain popular because they're simple, compatible, and still dramatically faster than spinning hard drives for everyday use. Many people install a 2.5-inch SATA SSD as their first upgrade in an older desktop or laptop because it fits standard drive bays and works with existing SATA ports on the motherboard. On a desktop, the usual setup uses two separate cables: a SATA data cable running from the drive to the motherboard, and a SATA power connector coming from the power supply. Now here's where it gets tricky. SATA can also appear in the M.2 form factor. In that case, the drive mounts like a stick on the board, but it still communicates using SATA rules and SATA speed limits. This is the classic exam trap. The physical shape looks like high-end NVMe hardware, but the interface is still SATA. PCI Express is the expansion bus that carries data for devices that need fast access to the CPU and chipset. Graphics cards use it, network cards use it, and many NVMe SSDs use it. It's critical to separate PCI Express from NVMe in your mind. PCI Express describes how the device connects electrically, the physical lanes and bandwidth available. NVMe describes the storage protocol commonly carried over PCI Express for SSDs. A question may mention PCI Express to test whether you understand the connection type, not to automatically imply NVMe. In practice, you'll see PCI Express-based SSDs in two places: M.2 slots that support PCI Express storage, often used for NVMe drives, and full-size PCI Express expansion slots using an NVMe add-in card or an adapter that holds an M.2 NVMe drive. Keep lane talk simple for the exam. More PCI Express lanes generally means more bandwidth, but you don't need deep numbers. SAS stands for Serial Attached SCI, and it's the storage interface you'll find in servers, storage arrays, and high-end workstations. Most entry-level techs never touch SAS because it lives in enterprise environments where uptime, RAID configurations, and many drive setups matter more than consumer desktop needs. But the exam still expects you to recognize it and understand basic compatibility. SAS drives connect through backplanes or dedicated SAS ports on RAID controller cards, not through standard motherboard SATA ports. Here's the compatibility rule that shows up on test questions. SAS controllers can usually handle SATA drives in a mixed array, but SATA controllers cannot run SAS drives. That asymmetry is a favorite exam trap, so remember the direction: SAS gear is backward compatible with SATA, but not the other way around. M.2 is a slim card form factor. It's the physical stick shape you see mounted flat on modern motherboards. The confusion comes from the fact that M.2 is just the package. It doesn't tell you the interface. An M.2 drive can speak SATA or NVMe depending on how it's built, and an M.2 slot on a motherboard may support one or both. Some slots are wired for SATA only, some for PCI Express only, and some support both. The keying, the notch position on the drive and slot, gives you a clue, but the safest check is the motherboard manual or the drive spec sheet. The exam loves to show you a picture of an M.2 drive and ask what interface it uses. The answer is never M.2, that's the form factor. You need to look for SATA or NVMe in the question text or specs. 3 core rules to carry forward. 1. Form factor is shape. Interface is communication method. M.2 doesn't mean fast, it's just a slim card that can be SATA or NVMe. 2. When you see NVMe, think PCI Express lanes. When you see SATA, think cables on desktops or older M.2 drives. 3. SAS is server gear and it's backward compatible with SATA drives but not the reverse. Lock those in and the exam's interface versus form factor traps stop working.